Now, from a secret underground bunker, deep in the heartland of Tennessee, where the mysteries of the universe collide with the technological reawakening of mankind, it's time for A World of Weird! Strange news, science, and everything paranormal. And a little music if we can get away with it without a copyright strike. Welcome into another show, folks! Sunday night live stream. Here in the darkness of night. Oh, lines are open. Give us a call at 731-213 0064 or Skype in at Wired Digital. All right. That little intro was written by a good friend of mine that was started out on the show with me, Josh Brown, the illustrious Grammy-nominated Josh Brown, since it's Grammy season. Not this year, but I think it was in I don't know, early 2000s. He got a Grammy nomination. I think it was, yeah. Anyway, on to the show. I am glad that you guys are out there, and let me give you a little update on the channel. We have raced past 100 subscribers. Woo! As of today, we have 103 subscribers. That's not bad for a month. So a few people have come back, but we seem to be getting some new blood every day. A couple new every day, which is great. Fantastic. People are digging the old stuff and the stuff we are putting out currently. So that is good news. Of course, we are not monetizing anything, which I really don't care. It ain't about the money, folks. It's about putting out a good product and enjoying ourselves in the process. Tonight, let's start off with some, there's not a lot of great news. So let's start off with some scary news. Doomsday Clock moves closer to midnight. We're 2 minutes from world annihilation. I think this was started in the 50s. By a group of scientists, a panel of scientists and policy experts. So we got moved up 30 seconds closer to midnight on Thursday, citing our illustrious President Trump's rhetoric on nuclear weapons and his lack of understanding of them, environmental deterioration due to climate change and the lack of trust in political institutions. It all makes sense to me. So yeah, there we go. We're a little bit closer to Doomsday, but we all knew that anyway, didn't we? All right, on to something more interesting and much cooler. A disco ball-like satellite is orbiting the Earth. It has no other function but to be able to be seen from Earth. I think it's a fantastic idea. I didn't realize it was up there. You can, well, let me pull up the website for you guys, and we'll look at it together. So here we go. The name of the little orbiter is Humanity Star, and its only function is to be able to be seen from Earth. A star for humanity, visible from space with the naked eye. The Humanity Star is a highly reflective satellite that blinks brightly across the night sky to create a shared experience for everyone on the planet. It's very cool. Great idea. And you can, if you go to thehumanitystar.com, you can check out its path in real time, so you can check it out from your home, no matter where you live on the planet, on the globe. You can check it out. And there's the guy that came up with the idea, and there's the mock-up of it right there. It's made of carbon fiber. and it's just simply reflect a ball. I believe it'll come down out of orbit. Humanity Star will orbit the Earth approximately 9 months before its orbit starts to decay, and it is pulled back into Earth's gravity, where it will burn up, of course. So there that is. Pretty cool, huh? I think it's a fantastic idea, just to somebody spent a chunk of change just for that, and I think it's all completely worth it if it'll educate a few people on the planet that need education. All right, here's something not so cool. An article about the dark side of the rise to oil superpower by us, the United States. Yep. A lot of horror and injustice and everything has been done in the name of oil. And trying to get as much resources as we can on this tiny planet to power our rise to power, which is, I guess a human nature, I guess. I don't know. I don't know, really. Money, power, very addictive. Both very addictive things. Easy money is the most addictive thing on the planet, I think. The last time U.S. drillers pumped 10 million barrels of crude a day, Richard Nixon was in the White House. The first oil crisis hadn't yet scared Americans into buying Toyotas, and fracking was an experimental technique a handful of engineers were trying. With a meager success, it was the 1970s, and oil sold for $1.80 a barrel. So almost 5 decades later, with oil hovering near $65 a barrel, daily U.S. crude output is about to hit an 8-digit mark again. It's a significant milestone on the way to fulfilling a dream that a generation ago seemed far-fetched. By the end of the year, the United States will be the world's biggest oil producer. Let me say it again. The United States will be the biggest oil producer on the planet by the end of this year. With that, America takes a big step forward towards energy independence, the U.S. crowding from the top of the hill long occupied by Saudi Arabia or Russia would scramble geopolitics. A new world energy order could emerge. That shuffling will be good for America, but not so much for the planet. For one, the influence of the most powerful forces of the past half-century would be diminished. No longer would America first diplomats need to tiptoe around oil-supplying nations such as Saudi Arabia. And lower prices would or could result, I think they will result, in the reopening the old wounds in the cartel that would take some muscle out of Vladimir Putin's foreign policy, of course, while Russian oligarchs would find it more difficult to maintain their lifestyle to which they've become accustomed. I don't know. I think if you have a few $1 billion, it's unless you're just blowing it millions a day, a few $1 billion will last you a little bit. I mean, there's only so much stuff you can buy. Unless you're just insane. Well, so I'll give them that. They're all insane. Anyway, President Donald Trump. Oh, it's still incredibly weird to say that. President Donald Trump, sensing an opportunity, is looking past independence to what he calls energy dominance course. His administration plans to open vast ocean acreages offshore for exploration of resources. For the first time in 40 years, allow drilling in the Antarctic, and the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge that may take years to tap. Not Antarctic, I mean Arctic National Wildlife, that's in Alaska. But the Alaska payoff alone is eye-popping. Estimate 11.8 billion barrels of technically recoverable crude. It sounds good, but be careful what you wish for, it says. The last 3 years have been the hottest since record-keeping began in the 19th century. There's been little room in Trump's plan for energy sources that treat the planet kindly. Governors of coastal states have already pointed out that the offshore spill could devastate tourism. Another trillion-dollar industry, not to mention wreck fragile littoral environments. Florida has already appealed for waivers for such drilling. More supply could lower prices and turn discourage investments into renewables, such as solar and wind. Those tend to spike when oil prices rise. Enthusiasm for non-polluting, non-warming energies of the future could wane because people like instant gratification. So, Saudi Arabia targeted rivals, including American drillers, rather than cutting production to keep prices high. Saudi Arabia persuaded OPEC to open the taps, sending prices lower than $40 a barrel in December, down from more than $100 a barrel just 4 months previous. The Saudis were hoping to starve the shale revolution. The shale is the oil shale from Canada, where it takes so much energy to process. I mean, there's tons of it, but it takes so much energy to process to get a barrel of oil out of this oil shale, or whatever they call it. It's just expensive. I don't know. The whole thing is insane, really. If you think about it, I mean, I've burnt my share of fuel, that's for sure. I don't drive that much anymore, but that's only because I work from, I'm fortunate enough to have an office at home and be my own boss. Yeah, I know people that drive 150 miles round trip every day to work. So there it is. And trucks, you got to keep the trucks on the road. Diesel. That's a lot. Big fuel people don't think about. Big fuel burner is the way we distribute goods around the country. Trucking. I think trains are doing more, but the infrastructure, the train infrastructure, hasn't been upgraded in many, many years. There's no new tracks going in that I know of. I know there seems to be tracks going through every damn town in Tennessee. Let's see here. But trains can't carry that much unless it'd be a long train, buddy. I guess you could do it, but train tracks, you still have to take trucks from train tracks to depots to other places, so why not just throw them on a truck, I guess. And truck drivers need jobs. It's a good job, I guess, if you enjoy driving a truck. I've had a few friends that drove trucks seem to enjoy it. For a little while, anyway. So I guess the gist of this is that the demand of rising prices, despite the emergence of renewables and the development of electric vehicles, shale might struggle to keep pace with global consumption. There's a chance that the world will witness that rarest of market loop-de-loops, high oil prices, as well as rising U.S. production. That would be interesting. Yeah, I mean, what bothers me about it is the people start not worrying about renewables like solar. I mean, I think the people should get a big giant tax break. I think they're pulling tax breaks for solar if they haven't already. I think every new house should be built with solar And I don't know why it took so long to get solar shingles. I thought about that 10 years ago. Why not just build a shingle that was a voltaic shingle, connector or conductor on each end, and slap them together and throw them into a grid and bing, bang, boom. I guess easier said than done. Now, and also our government, I think, just put a tariff on solar panels, stating that they say, oh, well, we're going to make them here now. Well, no. I mean, that's going to stifle the whole market, because the installers and the companies that are installing here in the United States and setting up houses, well, they buy those panels from the Chinese and the Korea, or I think it's mainly China that has the market on solar panels, has perfected the technology to make them cheaply. So now, if we make them here, it's going to cost much more, and we're gonna fall behind again. It's just insane. Nothing makes sense anymore. Or anyway, that article, if you want to check it out, was on Bloomberg. Bloomberg Business. I guess the name of the article is "Good for Us, Bad for the World. America's oil boom is disrupting the geopolitical order and destroying the planet." So, happy thoughts, all. Happy thoughts. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I wanted you guys to check this out as well. At the end of the month here, we're going to be having a super moon, our super blue blood moon. So let's check out what NASA has described here. All in one night. This is all going to happen in one night. It's on the 31st. Best viewing will be in the western U.S., but I think we'll be able to check it out. Super blue blood moon. Blue moon, where there are 2 full moons in a month. Super moon, when the moon is closest to the nearest approach to the Earth, appearing larger than normal. The blood moon, where it's an eclipse, and the Earth's shadow is cast across the moon. And this will all happen on the 31st of this month. What is that, Wednesday? Coming Wednesday? Pretty cool. Here, I'll let y'all watch it again as I take a drink of iced tea. I love lemons. Let me just put that into the ether. Lemons are great. It's hard to drink good iced tea without a lemon in it. Put like half a lemon in my iced tea. It's good for you. January 31st. Very cool. So that's going to happen. We'll take a look at that, and hopefully it won't be cloudy here. And I guess the last thing I want to do is some comic relief. That's pretty good. Tennessee man flips car 5 times after letting Jesus take the wheel. Holy mackerel. So, yeah, the headline again is Tennessee man flips car 5 times after letting Jesus take the wheel. Tennessee man told police this week that Jesus personally came to him and told him to let him drive on his behalf. Okay. The result is that this car veered off the highway and then flipped over 5 times. Tennessee Highway Patrol officer says that when they arrived to the scene, the accident, 33-year-old Chad England was speaking gibberish and trying to flee from the scene while carrying a jar. What the fuck? What? Police say that England was obviously under the influence of drugs, and at the time of the crash, although the man apparently refused to take a blood test, a search of England's car revealed, according to VLT, 6 grams of marijuana, 6 grams of cocaine, a pipe, rolling papers, 3 empty bottles of Crown Royal. Holy crap. Oh, sorry, 3/4 empty bottle of Crown Royal, a small empty bottle of Crown Royal, and several cans of used for huffing. Holy crap. Man, that's a lot to mix, right? You got weed, some coke, alcohol, and he's huffing paint? Man. No wonder he saw Jesus. No wonder Jesus talked to him. Anyway, police arrested him and charged him with, among other things, DUI first offense, felony possession of a Schedule 2 for resale, possession of a Schedule 4. No, sorry, Schedule of 6. A V and I is a 5 and a 1, so 6. Schedule 6, and possession of paraphernalia. Officials also say England had no driver's license in its possession, and the car was not insured. Holy moly. Man. Oh, in other news, let's say we got, looks like Mad Mike Hughes, the flat earther with the steam-powered rocket, is going to make his flight on the 3rd, supposedly. He has taken this is a shot of his rocket, I think it was taken today, and he is going to, hey, look at that nice round moon up there overlooking the flat earth rocket. I can't help it, guys. Come on. I don't know. I think a lot of people that are talking about, have channels on flat earth and all this other stuff, do not believe it. I don't think they believe it for 1 minute. I think it's all just a stunt to get views, to get your name out there. Man, I just can't believe people believe it. Anyway, off of that subject, but yeah, Mr. Hughes, it says he's going to launch on the 3rd of February. So we'll keep track of that. And I've noticed that I keep track of his Facebook feed. And the people give him hell, of course. But Mr. Hughes has very thin skin, and he... if I was doing public relations for Mr. Hughes, I would tell him not to answer a lot of those comments and just go on and let it roll off him like a water off a duck. But he just can't seem to not counter some of the silly, mean comments that people are giving him. He should expect it. I mean, if you don't expect it from doing something like this, well... also, Mr. Hughes has started a new GoFundMe to fund the actual... This launch here is not to take pictures of the flat Earth. It is to get awareness for his big... thing, which is to fund the rocket to get up to the edge of space. So he's got a GoFundMe to, I think, raise, not sure how much, but he's asking for 10 grand. 4 people in the last 2 days have given him $50. So he's getting there, I guess. Anyway, there's that. So we'll keep. That's an interesting story to me. I just hope he doesn't kill himself. I'm looking at that rocket and that chute. I hope he's got a good chute system on there, because that's what's going to save him or kill him. It's not going to be the rocket itself. It's going to be coming down and with a shredded chute. Oh, hello from Oxford, England. Hello, Groovin' Cat. Hello, all. I didn't see you guys there. I was doing the show. So, yeah, there we go. That is a show for tonight, unless one of you folks wants to call in. You can call in at 731-215-0064, or you can Skype in at Wired Digital. That's Wired Digital. That is our Skype handle. I guess I might want to turn Skype on so somebody can Skype me. Oh, there's Skype. And let me see if I can think of something interesting here. There was another article. In tech news. Oh yeah, there was a tractor beam that's made from audio waves, it seems. This breakthrough in tractor beam tech could pave the way to levitating humans. Man, that sounds great to me. If that could just float through the grocery store, or float through just everywhere. Of course, I wouldn't get very much exercise, but still, it would be fun. Be way better than a wheelchair for somebody, wouldn't it? This you can just float. People with spinal injuries, you could just float. What's up? Just stand there floating in front of you. Hey, what's up, man? In a sci-fi feeling first, engineers at the University of Bristol used the world's most powerful acoustic tractor beam to demonstrate that it's possible to stably contain objects larger than the wavelength of sound. Huh. In other words, they were able to levitate objects notably larger than whatever's possible before, a feat that theoretically opens up a potential of one day levitating humans. Acoustic tractor beams use sound, of course, or more specifically sound waves, to hold particles in midair, while magnetic levitation also exists. Acoustic levitation tends to work better for handling liquids and solids. It was previously believed that acoustic tractor beam were limited to levitating relatively small objects, only those approximately the same size as the wavelength of the sound. In fact, it's believed that it's fundamentally impossible to levitate larger objects without losing stability, causing them to spin out of control. But this new study has proved that to be wrong. Levitating humans. In the demonstration detailed in the study, the engineers used ultrasonic waves at the pitch of 40 kilohertz to make up acoustic vortices, or vortex, and acoustic vortex. The structure's silent core was able to hold 2-centimeter sphere made out of synthetic polymer. The sphere is more than 2 times the size of the acoustic wavelengths, making it the largest object that's been stably held into a tractor beam thus far. While it might feel a bit like magic, the team believes that harnessing the technique could make many practical applications. Interesting. I wonder if you have to be on top of the waves, or you can generate the waves to push against something that's solid, like having the device, like standing on the device and the waves push down towards the ground, levitating you. Or do you have to be... I don't know. Thought that was interesting. Would floating be the same? Mark asks, would floating be the same as flying? I don't think so. I think you could only get up off the ground so high. With this technology, you would just be levitating off the ground or hovering, I would think. But yeah, that would definitely be way cooler than a wheelchair. Putting around in a little oh yeah, that'd be cool. A little oh, and here's something we all need to know, because we're all looking this on a device with a microprocessor in it. What you need to know about the Intel flaw that everyone's freaking out about. Silicon Valley is abuzz about Meltdown and Spectre, which are flaws for hackers. We'll get into Intel and AMD and ARM processors that were first discovered by Google last year and publicly disclosed Wednesday, or I guess it was last Wednesday, or maybe it was the Wednesday before last. It was January 4th, maybe. Anyway, Meltdown and Spectre, which could take advantage of the same basic security vulnerability in those chips, could hypothetically be used in malicious actors to read sensitive information in systems memory, such as passwords, encryption keys, and things of that nature. How did they goof that up? Anyway, the first thing you need to know, pretty much every PC, laptop, tablet, smartphone is affected by the security flaw, regardless of which company made the device or what operating system it runs, because we only have a handful of chip makers, and we're all using the same chips. The vulnerability isn't easy to exploit, thank goodness. It requires a specific set of circumstances, including having malware already running on the device, but that's it's not just theoretical. And the problem could affect much more than just devices. The flaw potentially could exploit on servers and data centers, and of course now more and more we are putting the stuff in the cloud. So that's going to be a big place for people to start hitting, which they've done already, but maybe trying to use this exploit to get into the Google Cloud, Amazon Web Services, what Microsoft Azure, I guess they're calling it. In fact, given the right conditions, Meltdown and or Spectre could be used by customers of those cloud services to actually steal data from one another. Although fixes are already being rolled out for the vulnerability, often they will come at a price. Some devices, especially older PCs, will be slowed remarkably. I know I use Apple products. I've always used a Mac since I think I was 8 years old when I got my first Apple IIe. So I've never really had any reason to switch to a PC. There was a good part of my life where I didn't give a crap about computers, and that was from about 14 years old to I don't know, 20s. I was always interested in them, but I didn't care if I had one. But that all changed. But here's some good news on the Intel and Google. Intel and Google say that they have never seen any attacks like Meltdown or Spectre actually being used in the wild, as they say, or in a real-world environment. And companies, including Intel, Amazon, Google, Apple, and Microsoft, are rushing to issues to fixes. I know Apple has already done an update. With the first wave already out, the most immediate consequence of all this will come from those fixes. Some devices will see performance dip as much as 30%. Holy crap! They must be shutting off parts of the processor or something. After fixes are installed, according to some reports, Intel, however, disputed that figure, saying that the amount which computers will be slowed will depend on how they're being used. The Meltdown attack only seems to work on Intel processors. You can guard against it with software updates, according to Google. Those are already starting to become available for Linux and Windows 10. Spectre, by contrast, appears to be much more dangerous. Google says it's been able to successfully execute Spectre attacks on processors from Intel, ARM, and AMD. And according to the search giant, there's no single fix. I know Apple uses its own chip for these iPhones and iPads. I wonder if they're affected. It doesn't say. Apple actually bought a small processor firm. Got about 10 years ago, maybe. And I think their chip is A6 or something. I don't know. Not sure if they're affected. They might be. It's all a lot of the same architecture. But there you go, folks. And with that, I think I'm going to call it a night. And I appreciate everybody listening, everybody coming in and chatting and talking, and I appreciate it very much. Trying to do a couple more of these a week, and we have a guest coming up next week as well. And I look forward to you talking with you next time. And if you are just stumbling across this show, please like and subscribe and leave a comment. If you hate the show, let me know why. If you love the show, let us know. And with that, we are going to say good night. Whoa, I just hit my damn. Good night, folks. As I knock myself out with the microphone. Good night. From a world of weird. Adios.